Okay, welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET now. We were in conversation with Raj Khosla of My Money Mantra on essentially the fact that, to what extent should you stretch your finances to buy a home for yourself? Well, let's discuss what we have been witnessing in the property market then, especially, as we have unlock slowly kicking in. Well, in most areas, of course, keeping aside the second wave, unfortunately, that we're seeing in lots of states. But the fact is that, interestingly, more and more individuals are buying homes as well. Firstly, because of low financing costs, and secondly, because of better bargaining power. It truly seems to be a buyer's market at this juncture. So let's take this conversation forward with Ghulam Zia of Knight and Frank. Ghulam, thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now. So we're seeing, your latest report flags off that in Q3, that's, in this Q3 of this year, we've actually seen a significant improvement in home sales. Is this really being led by the fact that today a buyer is able to find a home in the market at the price point that he wants?
Yes, it is so. It definitely is one of the key reasons for these transactions that we've observed in last month or two. And let me just also chip in. You just mentioned about the data. The data is very clear. The festive time, I'm talking about Dasara, Diwali period, has been a bumper period for the real estate developers practically all over the country, but especially so in Mumbai and Pune, which is state of Maharashtra, because the stamp duties have also been almost 60% waived off by the state government, and remaining 40%, the developers are absorbing. So almost about 5% more of a discount is what I can think about, which has actually made a huge impact on the buyer's psyche. So those who were, even pre-COVID days, were watching the prices slide. Well, the price correction is happening for almost about 2 to 3 years. And as we are looking at almost about 4 consecutive festive times have been a disaster. So after almost 3 to 4 years, we have got a festive time which has actually infused new lease of life in otherwise a moribund kind of real estate sector. And that has happened because on one side, as you highlighted, the prices have been correcting, the home loan rates have been at their best so far. And on top of it, at least in the state of Maharashtra, where the stamp duties have been cut and the developers have also chipped in, this is a market where the buyers are extremely excited and they know that they may not get a deal as sweet as what they're getting today. Over to you.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is that this surge that we saw in property sales between July and September, and yeah, you rightly mentioned, it was prior to the whole festive season. So we had a lot of these builders and developers as well doling out offers, discounts, etc. on property. So do you think that these are purely temporary in nature, and these discounts will be rolled back? And what about prices? Do you think that, prices may not go down any further than what they have right now? Because, I think your report as well mentions that weighted average prices have reduced in the range of 3 to 7% in 6 of the 8 markets. This just compared to 1 year. A 3 to 7% decline in the price of a property is quite big.
Indeed. Absolutely right. The way you're putting it up is a perfect perception or perfect view of the market. And the prices, I said, have been correcting for last almost 3 to 4 years. Now the question is whether it is the best time or whether we are expecting more corrections. I would want to believe that it would be perhaps one of the lowest point. You may still have a few properties or a few offerings which could be at a further discount, but that would be completely dependent upon the desperation of the seller, the stress situation that the seller would be in. Otherwise, I would want to believe that the industry has come to a point where the prices have almost kind of stabilized. And mind you, I would still not make a blanket statement purely because the industry as such, the developers haven't really come out of the distress situations where they were. So while the transactions have started happening, that's one first step towards the positivity from the supply side, from the developer side. But it is still not sufficient for us to conclude that the developers are out of the whole situation that they were in for last 3 to 4 years. And if assuming that the transaction volumes that we are looking at, while it is a great sign for the industry, but if it is only the pent-up demand, let's not forget that almost about 6 to 7 months was almost wiped out from our last calendar year because of COVID. So whether it was purely a pent-up demand which could not really transpire for last 6 to 7 months, which is happening now in last 2 months, all those questions are yet to be answered. So the time we'll have to really wait and watch whether in next 2 to 3 months, if the transaction level sustains, then maybe the worst is over from the supply side, which means that the prices may not correct further. But that said, it is still possible, it is still likely that there are a lot of these stress situation projects out there which may continue to dole out further discounts, which may continue to give you more corrected prices. But as an industry, I would want to say that it has actually seen the worst of it. Back to you.
All right. So we have seen the worst of the pricing drop, at least in the property market. So in all possibility, we will not see prices go down further from here on. We could say they've bottomed out, as we usually say in stock market lingo. So it doesn't look likely that property prices are going to go down further. So I think Ghulam as well, I'm sure he agrees with me when he says that, look, if you want to buy a house and you've got the cash, now is a great time, because you're not perhaps going to get a price that's lower than this. And we're really seeing their report as well mentions about how sales in Mumbai, Pune more than doubled between July to September, thanks to, of course, the entire stamp duty reduction as well. That too was another big booster shot. Chennai, Kolkata, Noida and the NCR region as well showed a substantial recovery during July to August. So it's a great momentum being witnessed. So clearly people are going out there, people are buying more houses. But now the question is, Ghulam, is it more skewed towards ready-made houses, or are people still ready to instill their faith in under construction projects?
Look, on one side, ever since the regulator has come in, the real estate regulator RERA has come about, there is definitely a comfort for a buyer to go for an under construction apartment. However, that said, the ready apartment inventory is also so much that people would obviously prefer a ready construction flat today. Only those who are seeking a spread of their cash outs or their payment schedules would want to look at under construction properties. But those who are open to both would rather go for something which is ready. Because if you need that house today, why would you wait for next 2 years for an under construction project if the next door you have enough of supply available for you to invest in? That is indeed the situation out there. So at least till such times as the ready construction apartment inventory does not dry up, the people, I'm sure the buyer would still prefer a ready constructed apartment. That said, because many of these buyers are still depending upon spreading their cash flows, taking that home loan, and waiting for some better times to cash out or give their commitment, they would still be looking at under construction apartment only to get the facility of spreading the payments. Otherwise, those who have the option would definitely go for a ready apartment.
All right. Okay. Ghulam, we'll let you go on that note. Thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now. It's a very interesting report indeed. And yes, he does believe that don't expect prices to go lower from here as well. If you've got cash lying, if you think that you would be able to afford it, then you should buy a home, especially if you've long been aspiring to own a home of your own. And on that note, we'll wrap it up on The Money Show. Many thanks for watching.